Shalom and good day all, this is Tehillim29 back again for another DC review, and in this DC review I'll be covering Action Comics issue 1051 by Jason Aaron, the Jeremy Adams and Peter J. Tomasi Green Lantern, so the Jeremy Adams main story followed by the Peter J. Tomasi backup story, and last but not least the Tom Taylor Titans Beast World. I'll now get things prepared for the first one that I'll be reviewing. So as we begin to move into the first one, being Jason Aaron's Action Comics 1051, I must admit I am actually somewhat truly surprised at Jason Aaron here. I wonder if he was told not to do certain things with certain characters within the DC comic universe, where in Marvel the only way to put it is he shits the bed and destroys the characters. So I didn't quite enjoy what he did with Punisher, but could he actually win me over with what he's doing in Action Comics? That I don't know yet. So beginning with first things first, and that is in relation to the cover. Does this cover in any way, shape or form connect to something that is happening inside with the story? Sure enough it does, and I think you might be surprised with the rating that I give it, and that is a 7.5 out of 10, and I think this may be one of the highest ratings that I have given Jason Aaron in regards to stuff that he's written, but it doesn't mean it's going to stay at 7.5. It could easily drop, especially in upcoming issues. So the next thing is moving into the internal art as we have a look around the beginning, middle, and of course the end. And you know what? Another good thing too that I really want to point out about this comic: no backup stories. It's just one straight story. Yes! We need more of this in DC Comics. Thank you. So, as we move into the beginning of the story, we have the character of Bizarro, who visits a planet of Xerox as well as Gemworld, and gets involved in the area of a bit of magic, where Superman normally wouldn't do that. I seem to have no problem with Bizarro doing it. I think it would actually work with his character, and the way it's actually done here, it does actually work quite well. As we start to jump towards the middle of the story, we have Superman and Bizarro at odds at each other. But we also realize that whilst this is occurring, Bizarro is actually doing something in the background to basically affect Metropolis. And last but not least, we move towards the end. After Superman's encounter with Bizarro, there is a complete change on the world of Metropolis. And also with Superman. So will he be able to see through this, what Bizarro has done, or not? So really well executed in the story. I never thought I would like a story by Jason Aaron. This one issue might be the exception to the rule. So for the internal art, I give it a 7.5 out of 10, as I did actually enjoy the art in the story and how it was also executed in relation to the characters that played a part in the story. Next is the area of the story and story rating. So, considering how far we are in the story, did we get any comic book references? Maybe even something connecting to maybe the last appearance of Bizarro in regards to Superman, whether it's in the Superman line run or even in the Action Comics line run? Not at all. Though it probably wouldn't have hurt to include it. It might give some people a bit of a better understanding about his character. Next is the area of time. To the first thing we had was 6 weeks later and also months later. Next is the area of locations, to which we had quite a number of locations brought up in this. First was Xerox, which is connected to magic in the universe. Gemworld, we of course had Metropolis. We also had the crown of the sun, or the corona of the sun, the moons of Jupiter, Saturn's ring, even Pluto. Now, these are some of the places to which Superman and Bizarro ended up fighting. And this is how far it stretched, to 3 million miles from Earth. So we get the impression that there was a big fight that's happening between the characters. Next is the cast of characters, to which we have Bizarro. We had Loez, which is from the Bizarroverse mentioned. We had Boy-Zaro, so I'm wondering, are we going to see the return of Boy-Zaro? And seeing that Boy-Zaro is also a creation of Peter J. Tomasi, I think Boy-Zaro would probably be somewhat good to have with the Sinister Sons. Just saying. So instead of a duo with the Super Sons, they could probably have a trio with the Sinister Sons. So with that, I think it would work really well. I'm just bringing that up now. And last but not least, we had Superman, we had Lois, and whoever else connected to the rest of the cast in Metropolis. For the overall story rating in this, I give it a 7.5 out of 10. I must admit, I never expected to give it this high a rating. Now it's time to move into the Green Lantern. So, as we jump into Green Lantern, does this cover in any way, shape, or form connect to something that is happening inside with the story? Sure enough, it does, to which I give it a 7.5 out of 10. Next is the internal art, as we'll have a look around the beginning, middle, and of course the end, in regards to both stories. Starting now, and also what's happening with the cast of characters. So as the story begins, this takes place in the past, and we get to see what's happening and occurring in Oa, and some of the events that are taking place. So it looks like these systems are trying to somehow work together in peace. There is also a bit of a comic reference in here as well. I'll just quickly show you it. The Green Lantern Invictus. As we move a little bit further, we have Hal Jordan and of course Sinestro encountering each other once again. And last but not least, some of the events that are recurring around Kilowog. Now jumping into the backup story. As we start to jump into the backup story, we see what's happening with the character of Korg and also who watches over him. And of course, he's, well, destroying the very things that he is trying to prove, not only to himself, but also to some of his friends. Until Korg basically has to stand up for himself against a person who's sort of like, I guess, played a role as a caretaker slash guardian of him, but also a bit of a jerk to him as well. And last but not least, we get the end of it, to which it almost sort of like gives a bit of a almost Artful Dodger quite feel with the character. So for the internal art, I give it a 7.5 out of 10. Moving into the area of the story, first things first, seeing that I'll be addressing both stories here, I'll move into if there's any comic references, time and location, cast, and then cover the story rating afterwards. So first we got the Green Lantern Invictus for the comic reference. Next we had Some Time Ago, Later, and Now being used. So The locations, we had Oa, Karuga, and Earth. The cast of characters consisting of, well, basically the Green Lanterns of Oa, such as Hal Jordan, Cole Rayner, Kilowog, Guy Gardner, whoever the other Green Lanterns are. We had Pharos, the Green Lanterns, of course, Sinestro, and of course Korg. For the overall story rating for the first one, I gave a 7 out of 10. But as for the second one, I found I enjoyed it a little bit more this time around. Even though it is the end of a story arc, I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. Now it's time to move on to Titans Beast World. So as we begin to move on to Titans Beast World, does this cover in any way, shape or form connect to something that is happening inside of the story? In this time around, I think it was a bad choice for cover. And I give the cover a 6.5 out of 10. Now it's time to move into the internal art as we have a look around the beginning, middle, and of course the end. And then we'll move into the story rating. So as the story begins in this particular issue, we have Peacemaker, well, killing a lot of people. And yes, he doesn't care what color they are, just to get his point across. And of course, at Amanda Waller's instruction. So we get to see what's happening with Peacemaker. As we start to jump towards the middle of the story, we end up encountering Bendis Boy, John Kent. And as he takes on one of the people who have been infected. And last but not least, towards the end, which we get to see Lex Luthor, Amanda Waller, and we get to see what's happening between Raven, Dr. Hate, and also what is believed to be the death of Gar, Beast Boy. So for the internal art, I give it a 7 out of 10. Now it's time to move in relation to the area of the story. Did we get anything addressing the story time-wise? No, we didn't. It needs it. I'm sorry, because you didn't add it. Big loss of points. Next is the area of the locations, to which we had Middlehampton and also Ivytown, wherever the hell that is in the DC universe. Would have been nice to maybe have a bigger idea as to where it is held in the DC universe, instead of just some random names being brought up. Like, is it outside of Star City? Is it outside of Central City? Where are these places? Next, the cast of characters consisting of Peacemaker. We also saw Swamp Thing, Imposter John Kent. We, of course, had many members of the Titans. We had Lex Luthor, Amanda Waller, Dr. Hate. We also got to see Superman, so we saw some members of the Justice League, as well as JSA there. We saw Mary Marvel, Martian Manhunter, Alan Scott, Supergirl, and last but not least, the character of Shazam. For the overall story rating in this, I give it a 6 out of 10. Until then, let's keep it colourful and have yourself an awesome day.